about a year ago, I was like facing like my fear of my blackness and a fear of time. But then I had made this work, and then a lot of times the people would come off stage and say it was really powerful, and like, you all were so strong in it. And it was just like, there were a lot of things that happen in it, and if there's that barrier. Every summer for like 3 summers, it was like, I was at the American Dance Festival, and it was like, I think it was Charleston, then it was like Philando Castile or Sandra Bland, and then all of these like super traumatic things where I kept like being quiet and like taking it in. So I was trying to find a way to like express that and honor that and try to get to a place of finding what my humanity is to me. So ultimately the inspiration for what I'm working is identifying what our inner monsters say about us, and then how do we take that and project that onto other people. And how do I take that, and that, you know, if knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, how do I take that power and generate like empathy in a way that is compassionate, patient, and full of understanding. As I start working with these dancers who are all African American, I started realizing that our body carries a context where my work could be about me crying in the shower or having these very like regular, universal human moments, but there was some type of barrier for people who did not share that same experience, that my body and the bodies of the people that I worked with created a certain type of context. I'm working on this piece called Nightlight, and essentially in the context of a horror film, taking an all African American cast, or perceivably so, and an all perceivably Caucasian American cast, and having them perform the same narrative back to back, and then in the third act, having the audience decide who survives the experience. And I think about like the idea of empathy or compassion being as radical and as intense as like your parents like slapping your hand so you don't burn yourself. So like a really like rigorous love that is not just about like kindness, but it's also about responsibility. So using that idea is like not just walking in someone else's shoes, but feeling responsible for them. In the context of Halcyon, it has kind of unlocked a door in myself. Like even though I was having this like trudging along and pushing beyond this experience, I didn't quite conceive of the scope or the capacity of what that could be. So this whole experience, the word that keeps being is abundant, both in the access and the people that I'm having the opportunity to interact with, and watching people actually walk their talk is like it's astounding. And I think Kate describes it as a gentle army. Our motto is community, space, and access. How do you create that? Being creative is like, where there is perceived to be nothing, there is you, and then your idea, and then taking that and putting that into motion.